I love that earlier today we had the crowdsourced liberty session where we energized, where we came up with so many ideas and optimistic plans for our think tanks in the future. And now we have practical things to think about after Pak Khatib gave his speech. And we have our minds energized now, but I think we need to re-energize our bodies. So we have something a little fun prepared for you. So I'm going to call up my colleague, Lulu, to get things shaking a little bit. Lulu?
So thank you, Anthea. Now I would like to call all the volunteers who will help me for this session to come to the front. And please, to all of you, please stand up, because I know that probably you guys are a little bit tired after, having a conference since the morning and then until the afternoon. You can just stand up first. And then the volunteers, please come to the front. Yeah, all of the participants, please stand up. Yeah, no one. But do not leave the room, please. Just stand up. Okay, now, because we will have a little bit fun here. The volunteers, please, yeah. So what you guys have to do is please take a look at the volunteers in front, because I will tell a story and then you need to be really careful and pay attention every time I mention these 4 names. So when I said Melissa, all you have to do is, no, just a minute. If you hear the word Melissa, all you have to do is, yeah, just tilt your head back and forth. Oh, okay, maybe you guys can. So yeah, once again, if you hear the word Melissa, you have to do this. Yeah. If you hear the word Sherry, you have to do this. Yeah. And if you hear the word ALF, you have to do this. And if you hear the word Sarah, you have to jump. Okay? So now we have to practice a little bit. ALF, Melissa, ALF, Sarah, Sherry, okay, Melissa. So now, okay, you remember the words, and then I will tell a story. So please be careful and listen. So, is Sherry here? Sherry, okay. So, Melissa and other colleagues from Atlas and CIPS are working hard to host the ALF 2018. Cool. So now suddenly Melissa's phone rings. It's a message on her ALF conference app from Sherry. I'm sorry, I think I made a mistake. It's from Sarah. Okay. Yeah, no, it's from Sherry. I'm sorry. Okay. So it says, Melissa, I'm now in the library talking to Mr. Razin Salih. So please come and join us. Sherry said. So remember, if you hear the word Sherry, you have to, move your body. But what Sarah said is actually the time when Melissa needs to take care of something, because we have, so many things during ALF. Yeah. So because she needs to check the ALF registration list. So after checking it, Melissa said to Sarah, I'm sorry I can't be there because I have to take care of ALF registration list. So now Sarah is checking the conference app because we have to prepare for the next day of ALF. Okay, so now you already remember all the moves. Now we will do it a little bit faster, so you have to remember all of it. So I will pick like one sentence, and then you just move your body quickly, okay? Sarah is expecting Melissa to make sure everything in the session, in the ballroom session, goes really well. That's the exact time when Melissa needs to meet Sherry during ALF. During ALF, needs to meet Sherry. That's what Sarah said. But Sherry don't understand. And Melissa is still checking the ALF registration list in ALF 2018. Who come to the ALF for the first time? Who come to the ALF for the first time? That's Melissa's first ALF. No, that's not too quick. So now we still need to make it, a little bit quicker. So I will pick her. Wait, is Sarah here? Sarah? Oh, that's Sarah. Okay. So yeah, Melissa, you here? Where's Melissa? Where's Sherry? Sherry? I can't find Sherry. ALF, ALF, ALF. 10 times ALF, ALF. That's the ALF. Sarah, 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 ALF, Sarah, Sherry, Melissa, Melissa, where are you, Melissa? Sarah, Sarah, Sherry, Sherry, ALF. So what do you think about ALF? ALF, Sherry, Melissa? Okay. Who can do it like really fast? Probably like that's the guy right there. Okay, Sarah, can you do it very fast? Sarah, Sarah, Melissa, 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 ALF. ALF? ALF, okay, now it's, no, the volunteers don't move their body. So I think that's it. All of you are already, energize your body and move everything. So maybe, before that, I just want to thank Melissa. You still need to move your head. Melissa, Sarah, and also Sherry. Sherry, whoever still stands up, you still have to move your body. So now I would like to call my colleague Antia to come back to the stage.
Thank you, Lulu, for making us move around, jumping, wiggling our bodies. I hope everybody still has a bit of energy left, because now we have the much-awaited Think Tank Shark Tank competition. Anybody here has actually competed in the Think Tank Shark Tank competition before? I'm sure there are some guys. One? No? Any? Okay. So I have competed in the Shark Tank in 2006 in the Liberty Forum in New York. And I can tell you right now, I'm actually nervous just thinking about it. In this Think Tank Shark Tank competition, you have just 6 minutes to pitch the project of your dreams to potential investors or donors in front of a large audience. Well, we have 3 lucky and probably also extremely nervous contestants standing over there who have the opportunity to do just that. Thanks to the generosity of the Smith Family Foundation, the lucky winner will take home $10,000 for their winning project. To start the competition, I'd like to call up again Brad Lips, CEO of the Atlas Network, onto the stage. Sorry.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Anthea. And it is exciting to be back on stage with a Think Tank Shark Tank winner. We're very excited that the Food for the Poor project that you heard about this morning got a boost from our Think Tank Shark Tank competition that Anthea won in 2016. We've been doing the Think Tank Shark Tank for about 6 years now, and it's only the last 2 years that we've rolled this out to do regional competitions. This is modeled after a program that's popular in the United States, a TV program that has entrepreneurs that run private businesses pitching for equity investments to a panel of venture capitalists. We've adapted this so that we have think tank entrepreneurs who are asking for investments in new think tank projects. It's a fun way for you to learn about some exciting projects happening from Atlas Network partners, and it's always interesting to see how our judges look at the different projects that are being proposed and ask questions of the contestants. So I'm going to now ask our judges to come to the stage. I'll introduce them one by one. The first up is Razeen Sally from the National University of Singapore. Thank you, sir. Next up, we have Terry Kibbe from Free the People. The chair of the Atlas Network Board, Linda Whetstone. And then Siegfried Herzog from the Friedrich Naumann Foundation for Freedom, Thailand. And then Chatib Basri, who we just heard, the former finance minister of Indonesia, who I suspect will join us in just a moment. Our contestants today are going to be competing for a $10,000 prize, and our first presentation is going to be coming from Dhananath Fernando. Oh, just one moment. Okay. But it has been exciting through the years to see some of our Think Tank Shark Tank winners come back a year later with really exciting results from the different projects. One of the first winners that I remember was our from the UK, the Taxpayers Alliance, which had a great little project that with only $5,000, they were able to spread the word about a beer tax increase, and they rallied a lot of public support to stop the beer tax, which they did, and then it led to a larger tax reform initiative that won our Templeton Freedom Award, our largest prize, $100,000 prize that we announce annually in November. And now we're very happy to have Chatib Basri to join us as our fifth judge. And that allows me to bring to the stage our first contestant, Dhananath Fernando from Advocata Institute in Sri Lanka.
She is Auntie Sunila, my neighbor, 73 years old, having a difficulty in hearing and going blind. She collects small quantities of gravel, sand, and bricks from her neighborhood to build a small house for the last 15 years. One day I told Auntie Sunila, Auntie, you are too old to build a house. She responded me back in sign language. The dream of building a house is still young. Do you know how many Sri Lankans live in the dream of Auntie Sunila? About 10 million people. That's half of my population. About 1.2 million live in shanties. About another 1 million live in temporary houses. Another 3.5 million live in partly constructed houses. Do you know why? Because cost of construction in Sri Lanka is about 60% higher than the region. Because of the government's protectionist tariff policy to protect few business people. Just look at these tax rates at the border. Wall tiles and floor tiles, 108%. Construction steel, 90%. Sanitary ware, 72%. What's the solution? Simple. Cut these taxes down. But it's not easy to do because of two reasons. One is These construction business people and politicians are closely interconnected. They finance politicians' campaigns and they take kickbacks. Reason number 2 is people are not at all aware about this situation, so they are not fighting back. That's why Advocata is proposing a bottom-up approach for this problem. We are starting with an awareness campaign, but before we do an awareness campaign, we need to have a research study to build our case. So we are planning to do a research study with 30 samples in Colombo, Kandy, and Jaffna among the quantity surveyors and industry experts. We will also be doing a desk research with the sources of international and local data sources. With that report, people like Auntie Sunila will know what's the extra cost of protectionism they have to pay. That report will be launched in the presence of media, and that outcome of that research study will be converted into an awareness campaign, videos and infographics. Online and offline, we are planning to partner with media houses for offline videos, and infographics, we are planning to distribute leaflets at the central bus stations. With this awareness campaign, of course, we understand just an awareness campaign will not reverse such a sensitive policy. That's why we are collecting 100,000 signature petition to build the momentum. We are planning to collect 60,000 online and 40,000 offline signatures, and 40,000 offline signatures will be collected at the bus stations where rural and urban people inter-exchange. After this session, we will have 2 tools in our hand. That's a research study and a petition. With that, we are planning to convince the government, lobby the government to reverse the policy. To do all this, we need about $12,500. We are planning to raise the balance $2,500 from corporates and individual subscribers. In terms of a timeline, we are looking at 7 months to complete the awareness campaign and the research study, and the last 3 months for lobbying. We are looking at mid-November because the government policy revisions and the national budget will happen during that period. We have done it in the past. We did a study on taxation on food, and we contributed to reduce taxes of 14 essential food items, including potatoes and onions. People like Auntie Sunila may or may not be able to realize their dreams. But we can't let the dream of 10 million people die unheard. Even if you forget everything I say, I hope you will remember the crying dream of 10 million people. The dream of building a house is still young.
Thank you very much, Dhananath. We now have microphones being handed to our judges because we have 5 minutes for them to ask some questions. Perhaps we'll start with Rosine Sally if you have a question ready. Or Linda wants to start.
Have you thought of forming an alliance of other organisations that would support your campaign? Because a lot of the poverty, we may not always, gang up with the poverty lobby, but they would have the same ambition as you. Have you thought of getting an alliance which would make your campaign much more effective?
Yes, we have thought of that, especially the developers and the people, the large constructors will join us. That's why we are planning to raise the balance 2,500, because I haven't calculated the cost for the hotels and the large constructions. This is purely focusing on poor, but they will be joining the alliance, but we wanted to focus it as a concern for poor, because they are the one who is oppressed by this policy.
Sorry to grab another one. You misunderstood me. What about an alliance of all the people who want to help, all the people, the organisations in the sort of poverty lobby, the people who want to help poor people? I would have thought they would have come along with you as well. So you increase the chance of getting your signatures in a much bigger campaign.
Yes.
So not with the builders, the people who are going to benefit, but the poverty lobby perhaps.
Yes, we have planned that in collecting the signatures. That's the channel that we are planning to use to get the signatures, 100,000 petition.
Dhananath, Thanks first for an excellent presentation. I think that really brought the issue home to people in the audience. But my question is why you pick out this particular area and not other deserving areas for your first really important cost-benefit analysis? 100% tariff on furniture. The cost of bread is very high. These impact poor people much more than the middle class or the upper class. This is clearly a deserving case, but why have you picked this out in preference to other deserving issues?
If you ask Sri Lankans about a dream, they have always talked about three things. One is a house, a car, and education. House is a priority. And Sri Lankans take housing loans to pay their entire life to build a house. Housing is a very sensitive area. And even people go to bank jobs saying, I can get a loan for a lower interest rate to build a house. And they are sacrificing their entire career on the bank to get a housing loan for a lower cost. It's a very, very sensitive area. And in terms of impact, 10 million people. Bread, of course, they have other sources. Furniture, they can, at least, it's higher protectionism, but at least they can manage. But this is very sensitive, and we can easily build the momentum around this. And if we get 100,000 signatures, that will have, we can show the impact on the political capital for the politicians, because 100,000 signatures is a big thing for their vote base.
My question was very similar. You stole my question actually, but let me put this way. Your budget funding is 12,500, right? And you try to maximize, to optimize this amount of money. This 12,500 is not a big amount in terms of that. Is there any way that you can sort of like, create the bigger impact with the relatively limited budget? Because I don't know whether this housing issue, that seems to me that very, very like an uphill battle because the rent seekers are very strong. Is there any sort of like sector that you could do reform with this much cheaper budget, but the impact is, much higher? That's a very similar like the benefit and cost in doing the reform in which sector that you choose.
The budget is 12,500 because of creating the awareness campaign. The problem is creating awareness, especially in a country like Sri Lanka, where you have to go in 3 languages, takes investment.
I understand. My question is, with the 12,500, is there any campaign that you can use which will have an impact higher for the reform? Let's say you choose between the housing or, I don't know, food or something with the similar amount of budget, but the impact on reform is relatively high.
Food is an area, but we have worked on that, but I still believe housing is an area where we can build the momentum because it's in the hearts of Sri Lankans, and it's a dream and it's an aspiration to build a proper house, have a proper quality of living, and it's a dream. It's a crying dream where everyone would sacrifice their entire lifetime to realize that dream. So it has the power of appealing and making relevance to people.
We have time for one more quick question.
So you're looking to gather 60% of your signatures online, and what is the percentage of Sri Lankans that are actually online and using social media?
5 million people.
Is that half?
5 million people. That's about 25% of the population.
Okay,
so we are just getting 60,000.
Thank you very much, Dhananath.
Thank you.
Our next contestant comes from Nepal's Bikalpa, and alternative is Sarwagya Raj Pandey. Welcome.
Thank you.
If a tree falls down in a forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? Imagine, suddenly the government comes to bulldoze your house in pretext of road expansion, and there's no one to voice the violation of your rights. Instead, the media persons side with the populist narrative of the public good. How do you feel if the authorities force the entire 46,000 households of your city to paint their house to one single color? and not one newspaper report against it. Nepal is facing this problem. And these are just few examples. You see, the forest from my earlier analogy is our society. The tree that fell, they are our rights. And the ones who are supposed to report these falling trees to us, they are the media persons. And they are shaping our ideologies. So what's the problem? Our government and politicians believe in populist ideologies. And the reason why logic takes a backseat and many of these headlines go unreported is because these media persons are biased and often side with the political class. We have faced it ourselves many times when many of our works receive media blackout just because they would make the establishment feel uncomfortable. Therefore, there's need for a platform to create an alternative discourses and challenge these traditional narratives. And what are these alternative discourses? These are the approaches from perspective of liberal values. And Bikalpa proposes to introduce a pioneer online news portal that will promote liberal values. There are many issues that we have not been able to address. And the vacuum is being filled by the politicized media. They are controlling the public opinion. There are many issues where we need to impart these alternative discourses, and this can be done at a larger scale through online news portal. And we are capable of doing this because Bikalpa's videos in the past have received over 1 million views, and we have also built opinions on various issues. With our prior experience, outreach, and by scaling up our content delivery, we are sure we can achieve this. So what will we be doing there? We will be focusing on providing analysis to news on policy and current affairs from a liberal perspective. Basically, by this we'll be aiming to build opinion, raise questions, and create audience for the liberal content. Such following, we believe, will influence the stakeholders to bring about changes in policy at a large scale. And this $10,000 will be used to make this, to reach out to those amount of people out there. By the first 6 months, we plan to increase, to reach out to at least, to reach out to the eastern part of Nepal, and within 2 years to the rest of the country. And significant amount of the budget will be used in training our staffs and also giving them exposure so that will hone their ability in the long run. And we'll also, another interesting part is that we'll also make this a very a self-sustaining website through revenue generation from this model. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at a crucial junction. Recently, the Communist Alliance was able to garner a near 2/3 majority. And with the notion of positive discrimination and socialism being enshrined into the constitution of our country, challenges to liberal values is huge. Just imagine what those missing headlines could do. They could change people's perspective. The sound, the wave of populism could be countered with rational thoughts, and the sound from my earlier analogy, yes, they could be diligently reported back to the people. We are on a mission, and your contribution is very crucial to us. Thank you and namaste.
Thank you very much. Time for our judges to take the floor.
How many trained journalists do you have, and who is your target audience?
Our target audiences are youths as well as policymakers alike. And journalists, we have been working with many like-minded journalists, and I myself was also part of few online medias, and that is why we received a lot of blackout, because we had to write in a very controlled environment. So, and we are thinking of, this has always been our brainchild, but it requires a huge investment, so we couldn't carry on with it.
Would you give us an idea of the kind of issues that you would highlight? Just a few examples of the really pressing issues which are now in a populist fog where you'd like to shine a light.
Yes, I think that there are a lot of those. Especially to begin with, I think property right is something, that is disregarded. in our society, as well as social cultural rights. I'm sure that's going to come a lot. Like, for example, everyone frowns at consensual sex, having consensual sex between adult male and female. Okay, those kind of things have been curtailed by media persons. People are raided when they are in their privacy, and they can just be taken away by police and charged. I think, and that's ridiculous, I think. And even the media persons won't highlight that in the right way. They just side with the government, and those are just simple issues. Other issues I talk about, property rights, right? So these are some of the issues that we will have to immediately act upon, especially with the new government coming into power.
Are there examples of similar projects that have been successful in terms of numbers, audience, participation? Can you think of projects in other countries where a portal like this has been really, really effective?
I think there's an online news portal in India called Azadi, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
So I think they're doing a commendable job. And there are also some socialist websites that have come up in Nepal. So those are also some of the websites, which have been doing nice work in terms of garnering viewerships.
Can I ask you about what is the most effective social media platform there? I do understand that you do have this, the provider cellular as well, whether it is Facebook, whether it is, WhatsApp or SMS or group that, could be more effective rather than the portal because you can, deliver the news.
Yeah, I'd agree with that one. But I think people have outgrown social media now. And now they are looking for a legitimate platform, because a lot of fake news, people have already started to understand that we have been fooled a lot of times, and that is also one of the reasons where we are lagging behind, because we just have social media outreach, but many people don't believe us. Just take example of myself. Even I can't cite my own publications in Facebook because people are not allowed to cite news articles written on media, right? Social media. But they can cite those which are written on legitimate news websites. So I think legitimacy factor is one thing. So that is why we need to have a news portal, and that will increase faith in people.
If I just to follow up on this, but in terms of this outreach of Facebook is much higher than your portal maybe.
Yes, but when people look for legitimacy, I think they'll have to again come back to website. So that is where we have always been failing, because people say, okay, but why would I trust Bikalpa, a page that's on Facebook? Do they have a website? Do they have a something legitimate to show, or a registration as a matter of fact? So I think that is one thing that would really boost up our content in matter of legitimacy.
I have a two-part question related to money, which I think is the most important.
All right.
So your budget is $18,000, and this would provide you $10,000. So the first question is, how do you plan to raise the remaining $88,000? And then my second question is, this is a long-term project. It's not like the first contestant. It was a very discrete project. This is something that you want to have continue for many years. How will you raise the money to sustain it once this is started up?
So I'll just go back once. So this is our revenue generation model. So like I told you, we need $11,400 or $11,040, something like that, for first year. And I think from our project timeline also, we'll have started to at least have 3 to 5 advertisements somewhere in September. In 4-5 months time, we'll start generating some amount of revenue, and within at least 1 year, we are hopeful that if you can reach this number of social media target, which is the number one online news media, they are generating a revenue of more than $1,000 a month. So I think we will not just be able to sustain ourselves, we can also sustain the organization. Bikalpa, this could be a grantee for Bikalpa as well. So that is, have I answered both the questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. And the final contestant in today's Shark Tank competition is Rofi Uddarojat from suwarkababasan.org here in Indonesia.
Good afternoon, people. I'm standing here. I'm going to tell you a story about this man, Sasono. Sasono was a street vendor in Jakarta. He was struggling to find a job after his food vendor is evicted. He has no formal education, no skill, no capital to start his own business. Indonesia is infamously known as a restricted country in starting a business. It makes very difficult to men like him to earn his livelihood. But this innovation, newly innovated technology, helped him get a job. App-based transportation, a ride-sharing service like Uber, is booming in 2015 and widely become widespread innovation in Indonesia. This entrepreneurship has helped a lot of people, of individuals from low-income households to earn his money through the ride-sharing service and food delivery. But, however, the government opposes this innovation due to pressure from business association and regular transportation, such as minibus drivers and taxi drivers. A new policy is being introduced, which imposes some regulatory constraints, such as the floor pricing, vehicle quota, and also the registration, mandatory registration for personal vehicle as company-owned vehicle. So this government intervention has indicated a serious problem. Let me give you an example. When drivers and consumers are suffering from higher prices and also the insufficient drivers because of the floor pricing and vehicle quota. So we actually want to fight these problems. We want to start the public campaign and policy advocacy to address this issue. But we know it won't be easily successful because it will be challenged by the business crony and government lobbyists. So that's why we will have, this is our goal. Our goal, please take down the Transportation Ministerial Decree 108. So that's why we will start a social media campaign by using hashtag Pilihan Gue or My Choice. We will start the campaign by using or collaborating with the social media influencers to together we get rid of this policy. So other than that, we also include publishing policy advocacy, publishing policy recommendation in order to give the highlight on how to regulate the ride-hailing service. On this moment, we need to expose them. We need to build the bridge between the policymakers and knowledge producers to expose them with our policy options. This is a budget outline, $10. Major expenses will be included in $10,000. This is for writing policy papers, video productions, promotions, marketing, operations fee. And this is also the project outline. We will start the project preparation as soon as we obtain this grant. So we can effectively start in mid-2018. Okay, if we come back to the Sasono that I showed earlier, we might consider that $10,000 might be improve this livelihood of 1,000, 100,000, or even millions of other Sarsono in Indonesia. We believe by conducting this project, we could show that these workers deserve better income. These entrepreneurs also deserve their freedom to innovate. And finally, my final word is there hasn't been a single organization who works on this issue. So if you think about the smart investment, $10,000 will be a very smart investment when it becomes the first investment that comes when nobody else put attention on it. So we need your support more than ever. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rofi. Judges, we now have 5 minutes for questions.
Can I start? Remind me that your case you won at the court, right? For the Supreme Court.
No, but we actually want to go to the Transportation Ministry. We want to tell them with our research finding that this policy cannot be implemented anymore because it hurts the drivers, it hurts the consumers. So we need to change the policy. So basically, our program is we need to we want to conduct some kind of government lobbying, and also as well as the social media campaign, because we know it's not easy. There are other interest groups that are involved in this.
My question was, why don't you just go to the court? Because you won the first case, and supported by the Supreme Court at the time. It's much easier than do the campaign.
That's why there was precedence. The previous Permenhub or the ministerial decree was cancelled by the Supreme Court because of it's not some kind of valid. But after that, the Ministry of Transportation just made another one, so it's not working. Going to the Supreme Court to cancel the policy. So that's why we need to go to the government, educating them. We need to get their support, because we are confident that they will listen to us.
But why would they listen to you? Obviously, they are entrenched vested interests, and they are obviously strong enough to make the Transport Ministry make almost the same regulation, even after the Supreme Court had said this is unconstitutional. So there seems to be a very strong motivation behind the government. Why would they listen to you?
That's why we want to start the public campaign in social media. There was also precedent. So we have a lot of examples. In 2015, the Transportation Minister ridiculously outlawed the ride-hailing service. But you know what? The public uproar made President cancel the policy straight away. So actually, the government, especially the President, our President Joko Widodo, will listen to us if we have a very decent campaign, a very systematic campaign where we can gather the voice of the consumers to speak out loud about this issue.
I may have missed something. Just a quick first question on why West Java. But my second question is, you've obviously got a big problem in that you've got big vested interests. Couldn't you form an alliance of other organizations who would share your views? Because other organizations will want these people to have jobs as well. So that part of your thing should be to form a large alliance that will be much more difficult to resist.
Okay. The first question, the West Java is actually the secondary goal. Our goal is to go to the central government. That is the Ministry of Transportation. We want to tell them that this is not working. The centralized government, local government, actually they have their own policy, because in the ministerial decree they have some kind of right. Local government have a right to autonomously outlaw the sharing vehicle in their municipal area and provincial area. So, and the second question, Linda, actually that's also our next plan. But you know what? At the moment, there's only two groups of people fighting. The first is the traditional regular taxi drivers who support this policy, and the other one is the ride-hailing service. Their drivers, they also get a protest. But there are two different groups of interest fighting here. There's no other groups who come with the solution to build a bridge between this kind of. So that's why we want to. If there are other group of people who want to work on this issue, obviously we will build a coalition. But at the moment, the role that we want to do, because it's important, is building the bridge between these interests. Also, building the bridge between the producer of the knowledge and also the policymaker.
Okay, we're going to have to cut it off there for questions, I'm sorry to say, because we have to move on to our next program element. But thank you very much, Kofi. I think I'm now going to ask our 5 judges to come this way off the stage so they can be accompanied by my colleague Sherry as we find a place for you all to huddle and discuss who is going to get the $10,000 prize, which will be announced tomorrow night at the Liberty Awards dinner as the grand finale of our Asia Liberty Forum 2018. So thank you very much, judges. Let's have one more round of applause for their contributions. And also, how about a round of applause for our 3 contestants and all they brought to the stage here. So thank you.
This competition is another Liberty Forum tradition. The elevator pitch is based on the idea that if by chance you're in an elevator with that one major potential donor there you've been dying to meet, and you realize this is your one chance, your one lifetime opportunity to pitch your idea. but there's only 60 seconds to do it before those doors open to deliver the perfect pitch. It is intense. Actually, can I get a raise of hands? Who has actually competed in the elevator pitch before? 1, 2, 3. Quite a few, actually. Yep, at the back there. Great. It is intense, and it'll get your adrenaline pumping because you only have 60 seconds to do your pitch. You might have noticed some people mumbling to themselves in the corner, maybe outside in the ballroom. They're not crazy people, they're just our competitors practicing for the competition. Our competitors were also the participants of the fundraising training we conducted before this forum, and now's the chance to show you guys what they've got. The way the competition will work is that you, the audience, will play the role of that big donor or potential investor. So afterwards, you guys will get the chance to vote and to cast your vote on who you thought gave the best pitch. Okay, let's get this rolling. I would like to call on Lawson Bader, who is Atlas Network's board member and CEO of Donors Trust, a donor-advised fund and community foundation that works with donors and charities to promote limited government, free enterprise, and personal responsibility. Mr. Bader brings with him more than 20 years' experience working with various free market research and advocacy groups. Please give a round of applause for Lawson Bader.
Thank you. Well, as you heard, the rules are very simple, perhaps too simple and very annoying to our 18 ladies and gentlemen over here who have been talking to themselves all day. It is a little distracting to walk in the hotel and see people talking to themselves. But anyway, I will call their name. They will come up. They will make their pitch. If they do it within 60 seconds, all is well. If they do not do it within 60 seconds, they will hear from me and it will be annoying. Although I enjoy being able to do that. I promise not to ring the bell beforehand, though. That would be a little rude. So, at the end, you all should have a ballot. If you do not, there are various people who have them. Please make sure you have that. At the end of the 18, you'll be asked to circle 1, and that will be your vote. If you wish to sell votes, buy votes, do trading blocks of votes, it's entirely up to you. I will not participate in that. So, without further ado, are we ready? All right. Our first victim, if you will, is Basanta Adhikari from Bikalpa, an alternative.
Naresh is a milk seller. Every day he sells 450 liters of milk and earns a profit of $36. 6 years back, he was working in a cow farm for $50 a month. Today he earns 21 times more than his previous job. What makes it possible? The motorbike and the mobility makes it possible. Imagine Naresh selling his milk in his bicycle. Could he be so productive? Of course not. Many Nepalese cannot afford to buy the motorbike because it's very expensive. Due to the high taxation, the same motorbike that cost $820 in Indian market cost $1,700 in Nepalese market. Bikalpa will initiate a campaign, motorbike is not a luxury but a need, to sensitize people and pressurize the authority holder to bring the price down so every Nepalese can have easy access to it for the livelihood purpose, and I need your support.
Thank you, Basanta. All right, Nicole Annabella from Students for Liberty from Indonesia.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's not easy being young here in Indonesia, or as how people put it, we're just kids. So when a student goes up and say, taxation is tough, people will go, but what do you know? But us, we encourage these young, free-minded people to voice their opinions. And for the past 2 years, these kids have managed to promote the ideas of liberty to hundreds of people, not only from Indonesia, but from all across the region. We educate them about the true meaning of liberty. We develop them to become leaders, and we empower them to make this world a freer place. My name is Nicole, and on behalf of Students for Liberty Indonesia, I would like to invite all of you here to join us in creating a freer future for everyone by investing in these future leaders of liberty. Thank you very much.
And I didn't get to use the bell, so very disappointed. All right, our third victim is Henry Chu Zikun from Students for Liberty from Singapore.
Do you believe that a developed country like Singapore needs the idea of freedom and free market? My name is Henry, and I'm from Singapore. And I'm here to tell you that the policies in Singapore matter because developing countries are looking to Singapore to copy its success. And Singapore is probably one of the most misunderstood mixed economies in the world. And there is no independent think tank in Singapore. So, if you believe in the ideas of freedom, free market, then you should join and support Students for Liberty Singapore and Adam Smith Center to change the policies from the inside out. Thank you.
I don't know, SFL has now two where I haven't been able to ring the bell, so this is good. All right, Poonam Giri from Bikalpa an Alternative.
Let me tell you a story of Hari. Hari, a hard-working Nepali guy, owns a land where he wants to build up his own dream house. But he can't do it easily because it's really expensive. Building a normal house costs more than $20,000 in Nepal, where $4,000 alone is taken away by the cement. Normally, a sack of cement costs $8 in Nepal, which is a Nepali product, but it only costs $4 in India, where Hari is just 7 kilometers far from the place. But he even can't import it because government has created import barriers so that people can't bring it down to the city. And people like Hari has to give up their dream. So, as from the Bikalpa an Alternative, we want to record these stories, advocate for the issues, and create a pressure and give a pressure to the stakeholders so that people like Hari can make their dream come true. Hi, my name is Poonam Giri and I'm from Nepal.
And my apologies, I actually went slightly out of order, so I think we have Himanshu Dinga from the Center for Civil Society now.
Farman is 12-year-old and lives in Delhi slums. His father is roadside painter, and Farman goes to Iboin, a budget private school, not to a free government school where you get free books, free shoes and everything except education. In spite of better learning outcomes, Iboin and other 2,500 schools are going to be closed by Delhi government in April because of improper infrastructure and toilets. 500,000 of the students will be forced to shift to government schools. We at Center for Civil Society believes recognition should be based on learning outcomes, not on infrastructure. Support our legal and public policy advocacy. It would take $2 per kid to ensure students' choice. Please check out our website www.ccs.in and also sign online petition to support us. Thank you. This is Himanshu from CCS.
Thank you, Himanshu. All right, Muhammad Iksan from Suara Kebebasan.
Can entrepreneur be nurtured by government policy? Can future entrepreneur be trained by successful entrepreneurs? That's the two basic questions by our colleagues in Suara Kebebasan would like to know. I tell you a story. Indonesia experienced a stable growth of economic growth, improving quality of life, but high unemployment we face, like 5% of annual employment. The new local government introduced a new policy, one entrepreneur for one district. Would it be successful? We don't know. We would like to investigate by our research policy and also policy advice. We know that this kind of top-down government policy cannot work, but we should use the policy advocacy in order to answer the question. So join me and my colleagues in Suara Kebebasan to do a research policy and policy advice. Thank you.
All right, next from the Unirural Institute of Economics is Junji Ma.
This is what our liberal friends in China are doing at the moment. Keeping their mouths shut, not talking back to the government. And it will not change without the attention and support from you guys. So I'm standing here asking you to support us, to support the champion of liberty in China, to support Unirural Institute of Economics. And together, we are going to make that change. Thank you.
And next, from the Center for Civil Society, is Bhakti Patil.
There are many reasons that led me to join the Center for Civil Society, and many more that keep me there. But the most unambiguous, the most abiding of them has been the power of its ideas. As a student at the Jawaharlal Nehru University, India's last standing but the most unassailable bastion of socialist ethics, I saw firsthand the moral limits of a politics and philosophy that undermined individual agency, the very basis of our humanness. CCS for me represented an alternative vision, the idea that no society could be built on the denial of individual liberty, that freedom alone could build nations. The people of India today face some of the worst assaults on their freedom. I seek your trust. I seek your support as we forge the foot soldiers of liberty in the world's largest democracy.
Thank you. And next, from the Indonesian Institute, is Arfianto Probalaksono.
Assalamualaikum. Good evening. About 20,000 villages in Indonesia are still poor. Since 2015, its village received $75,000 from central government per year. We want to contribute in development village by doing development differently through research and advocacy. Join us and support us to help the villager to develop their village differently. Thank you.
You will notice next on your ballot is David Radich from the New Zealand Taxpayers Union. David is not here, so we will skip him and instead move to Muhammad Khalid Ramizi from the Afghanistan Economic and Legal Studies Organization.
We do not let them to killing us anymore. The man who was born in a society where for decades, except of war, violence, and killings of innocent people, there was nothing else. He lost his fathers when he was very young, and also in promotion of free society values, he lost his younger sisters. But this man never lost hopes for having of a bright future for his country and for his people. He is working very hard with Afghanistan Economic and Legal Studies Organization to bring peace and liberty in Afghanistan. And his voice and message reached to more than 300,000 people only on 2017. That man is me, and standing in front of you. If you want to support freedom cases in Afghanistan, please support us as much as you can. Thank you.
And next, from the Advocata Institute, is Ravi Ratnasabapathy.
Are you as disgusted with policy as we are? Would you like to see simpler policy? easier regulation, lower taxes. Take the example of the taxes on beer. The government reduced the taxes. What was the result? Lower prices for consumers, more revenue for the government. This is the kind of sensible policy that we need. We have a good finance minister in charge now. There is a possibility for making a change. Advocata is battling to bring sanity to government policy. Join us, help us win this battle. Become a subscriber of Advocata. Thank you.
And shifting to a different continent from Stossel in the classroom is Robert Ximenez.
Good evening. Many people throughout the world look to the United States as the land of opportunity, but that image is becoming a mere facade. Throughout the U.S., students are taught that government is the answer to their problems, that government is the reason for their success. But Stossel in the classroom is showing students another side. Millions of high school students a year are seeing Stossel videos that encourage them to think critically and challenge what they're taught. That government is actually limiting their choices. Students will make the right choice if they're encouraged to think critically. They will support freedom. Please support Stossel in the classroom and do what many of you are already doing in your own countries, saving the future from bad ideas. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. And now Akash Shrestha from the Samriddhi Foundation.
Well, freedom to choose really matters. Some of the biggest advancements in human history have been a result of people being free to try different things. Yet, in Nepal, many of us lack that freedom of choice, even in basic decisions like choosing the educator for our children. In a country where a person makes $2 a day on an average, and yet the federal government spends $1.2 billion of taxpayers' money annually on funding failing public education, that practically bars poor parents from choosing the better educator for their children, which is private educators. So last year at Samriddhi, we chose to engage heavily with local governments across eastern Nepal, and that resulted in us securing the buy-ins of 4 mayors to give these poor parents that choice through vouchers. Yet, we continue to battle challenges in local assemblies and with teachers' unions. We need your support right now to give these poor parents that gift of choice that will give their children and Nepal a shot at better future. Thank you.
Thank you. And from the Greater Mekong Research Center, Anirudh Singh Bhatti.
They say knowledge wants to be free and sunlight is the best disinfectant. But that is not the case for Pisai. Pisai is a young entrepreneur in Phnom Penh. Pisai wants to start a business, but the cost of starting a business in Cambodia, a low-income country located in the heart of Southeast Asia, is very high. And for that reason, the everyday reality for Pisai is dealing with an opaque legal system with obscure legal processes. It results in very high legal costs and transaction costs for Pisai to operate her business. Now, I will... Thank you.
And from the Nepal Prosperity Institute, Govinda Sawakoti.
Hello and good evening. Firstly, I'd like to ask, how many of you love the stories? So can you please raise the hands? Still pretty good number. I love storytelling. I love story listening. So I believe every person has a story to tell. In the context of Nepal, where every story is highly dominated by the leftist idea, what if we come up with a young visual storyteller who are ready to tell the stories of liberty in inspiring ways? So through Liberty Film School, we plan to create a young pool of visual storytellers who will advocate the issues of liberty through visual medium. So, ladies and gentlemen, join Nepal Prosperity Institute to make the mission to create success. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, 3 more to go. Nanang Sunandar from Index.
Good evening, Libertarian. I want to tell you the story about my country, Indonesia. Several years ago, Indonesia was listed as free country in Freedom House Index. Several years ago, I believe that Indonesia is a free country. But now everything has changed. Our governor, Ahok, is in jail because of blasphemy law. Religious extremism is rise every day. Economic socialism stronger day by day. But I still believe that Indonesians love liberty. So, what I want to ask from all of you people, support us to spread the idea of liberty. Help us to convince Indonesian people that liberty is the fundamental value for democracy and prosperity. Thank you.
Thank you. And from F Group Vietnam, Nguyen Van Tin.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to confess, I love rice. Vietnamese people love rice. We even compare rice with job, money, and wife. However, when I was born 3 years ago, our country do not have enough rice to feed the people. People were starving. Our economy was totally collapsed. That's all because of the central plan economy. It's a big mistake and we fight to change. Today, where the food exporter of rice, our country rapidly grow and this is not magic. This is a free market. The competition and rule of law that make it happen. And that is what we strongly believe. ALF Vietnam is the first independent group that advocates for free market values. And if you agree with us, please lend us support to promote the value of free markets, to fight harmful government intervention that rob our freedom, our love, our right and dignity. Thank you very much.
And finally, last but not least, Satan Sin from the Center for the Study of Myanmar Politics and Society.
Let me share our experience in Myanmar. We have been living in a closed society for a long time. As a consequence, we forgot who we are. So now it's time to open a window. We must promote a free society by educating young people. I believe the most effective way to change is to educate young people. So please join us to move the window. Thank you. I'm Sotan Zin from Myanmar.
Thank you. Would you give a hand to all 18 candidates? Yes. Well done. And I only had to ring the bell a few times. I'm kind of disappointed personally, but you have a ballot in front of you. Please vote for one and one only, and we will announce the winner of the elevator pitch competition at dinner tomorrow night. So, and as a reminder, David was not here, so don't circle David. That would be awkward. Anyway, thank you very much. Congratulations again, and please vote, and then we'll move on to the reception.